Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming to you with a summer wrap-up. I know that it's not summer anymore because it's September, but I really wanted to wrap up everything what I've read during these 2 months, so you could see and I can also see what was my summer read. Maybe the best one I will pick. I read different things during different seasons, so in autumn this pile at the end of the autumn will be quite different. So let's start, and the first book which I read during the summer was The Guests by Agnes Rovadn. I don't know because this is the Scandinavian name. I think that she's from Denmark. You could see that she's from Scandinavia based on this book, because Scandinavian authors have this kind of different style, most of them, of course, not everyone, and I love it. And The Guest was very similar for me as the books by Therese Bowman, or Bohman, I still don't know how to pronounce her surname correctly. I love her books, I love how she writes, and The Guests by Agnes was quite similar for me. Maybe not in the plot, but which topics she decided to choose and to speak about. We've got here the marriage of two people who are going to the summer house. I could tell that because this is the house of her friend. The main female character has the friend which she really don't like, but she has the invitation to this house to be here alone with partner during the summer and having a lot of rests. She meets their neighbors and she decided to lie and tell them that this is her house and her partner's house. From the first lie, there are more and more lies, and for me it's a very good book which shows you how people nowadays really want to be seen as very rich and sophisticated, that they can afford having the summer house. There are more and more lies and more topics between these two marriages, but I'm not gonna tell you what they're talking about because it will be quite a big spoiler, and this book is mainly about that, and it's very good comment on today's society. I really like the Scandinavian literature for that. It gives you a lot of thinking after that and a big reflection. It was a very good summer read. Maybe not the best one, but the one that I really needed, because mostly Scandinavian literature for me is for the autumn and the winter. But for this, the summer was perfect and I really recommend you this book. So the other one was, I think, one of the most popular books which are now in the social media. I heard about it a lot and only the good opinions. I didn't see any negative opinion about this book. And let me tell you, it was 5-star read. I really wanted to listen to this kind of book, and this is The Wedding People by Alison Espach. I don't know, still don't know, sorry. The Wedding People, oh my god, I know why it was, I think, the last Goodreads Choice Award for the best book of the year, I think. And this book is so good. It very shocked me because I really didn't expect this kind of things to happen and these topics to choose. I really like when there's a wedding, there's a couple, they're getting married and other stuff. You know, all of these things that are around wedding. And I really had a feeling that now I need to listen to this kind of book. And I didn't expect that this book will be about something completely different and the wedding will be only the background. We have the main character Phoebe, and I really liked this book, if I remember, after 2 months, the name of the main character, because I really quickly forget the names of the characters in the books. And she decided that she wants to commit. Somehow she chose the place where's the wedding, and there are only people from this wedding. Nobody knows why she's here, why the hotel accepted this reservation. It was meant to be, because at this wedding she met the people who are there and also the bride. And I really love the chemistry between these two women. I love their conversations and I love how they are different from each other. At the beginning I didn't like the bride, but after that I loved them too. This was like very great duo of the female characters, one of the best which I read during this year, I think. The main thing is about life, and oh my god, you feel disappointed by yourself mostly While reading to this kind of stuff, I'm always wondering if the authors had these emotions in their life, because I believe that it's not easy to write about these things when you don't experience them as yourself. Of course, I don't want anybody to experience these kind of things, but I found myself in this book, some piece of myself, of course, not like the full. And I really needed that, and I didn't know that this book will be so cheering. And after listening to it, I will feel better. I didn't want to feel better. I didn't need that. But somehow this book decided that, hey, you need to hear this, even though that you didn't know that you need to hear this, and see that other people also are struggling through this kind of things. Somehow it reminds me of The Night Library by Matt Haig. I didn't finish this book. I don't know why. I think that I had to read another stuff. You've got the same feelings, I think, after reading or listening to this book. I really recommend to you. Of course, probably you heard about it or you see the cover. Give it a chance, even if you are not convinced, really. The third book was The Ornament by Juan Cardenas. It was very short, so I don't have a lot of things to say because most of them will be spoilers, but it was very, very specific. It's one of these books that you are reading it and thinking, what the hell am I reading? Because I don't know what's happening here. The other one also, I'm not gonna talk a lot about it because it's in Polish and I don't believe that it's translated into English yet, because this author, I heard that he's great and that this one specific book is very good. And we also have some kind of Goodreads in my country. And they also have their awards of the best book, and the readers and the users can choose what was the best one. This book, what I'm talking about, I think was the best book picked in 2024. And I also completely understand why. The name in Polish is Korowód, and sorry, I don't know how to translate it into English. The other book is in English because the original is in English, and this is the first part of the Flora Steele mystery, so the Bookshop Murder by Marin Allingham, I think. As you can tell from the title, it's the detective story, the crime story, the one that I really like, which is not the thriller, but more like in Agatha Christie way, that you've got the mystery to solve and people who decided to do that. Mostly these people are not from the police, and this is also what's happening here. The first person is Flora Steele, and she is of course working in this bookshop, and the other one is the male character. I don't remember his name. Jack Carrington, who is the author of the books, and somehow he discovered that in the bookshop is the dead body. They are doing the investigation and everything is happening in a small town, so the trope which I really like. I love these small towns. I love how the atmosphere in this kind of books, when the plot is happening there, is completely different than the one that are happening in the bigger cities, and they have some specific stuff which I really like. I'm also from the small town originally, and if you are the Agatha Christie fan, I think that you will also like this book. I know that there are more parts of this series. I really want to read it, and they have pretty covers. Oh my god, the other book is a classic. The other two books, I feel very ashamed that I didn't read it before. I think the most famous novel of George Orwell, and it's 1984. This is my second book of George Orwell. What can I say more than that this is the masterpiece? You hear a lot about this book, and what you don't hear, and it's not a spoiler, is that you have also hear things about love. I really didn't expect to find love in this book. The author shows love in a completely different way. Read this book in your own time. I know that I could read it in high school, but I don't know why we didn't have to. And I know that I won't appreciate this book as much as now if I will read it in the high school. So I'm very grateful that I could do it after, for the first time, of course. The other classic is quite easier. Maybe not in how it's written, because it's older than 1984, but it was my first book of Jane Austen, and it was Northanger Abbey? Northanger Abbey? Northanger Abbey. I know that this is not the first pick which you think when someone is saying to you Jane Austen, but it was available on my subscription as the audiobook, and also it was shorter, and I really wanted to know this author in the shorter form of. It's a novel still, but it's shorter than Sense and Sensibility or Pride and Prejudice. And I wanted to see if I like it, and of course I know about this book because of the Rory Gilmore reading challenge. I someday decided to see how many books I read from it, and there was the Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen, so I decided that yes, it will be my first novel by her. I won't say you that I loved it, but I really liked it. The style of writing wasn't as hard as I thought it will be, maybe because it was also in the audio. But still, it was much easier than I thought, and now I'm listening to the other book by her, Sense and Sensibility, but I didn't finish that, so it will be in the other wrap-up. The other book is fantasy book, and to be more specific, cozy fantasy. The first fantasy book, I think now. It was the Spellshop by Sarah Beth Dars, and I think that this is the first part of the series. So I'm really excited to see what will be in the second or even the next books. We have the main character, female character, Kila. I think that this is how you should pronounce her name in English. And Kila is working in the library, the big library in the capital city. She's got a little helper, which is a talking plant. I really love this character. There is a revolution in the capital city, so they have to go, and they have to go somewhere where other people can find them, because they decided to take some books because the library was in the fire. She decided to take as much as she can with her to her family town, I can say, which is on a small island, and you have here also the small town trope, and you've got so many very cozy characters who are from different species from the fantasy. I'm not a beginner in fantasy, but I'm also not like the best reader in the fantasy books. High fantasy is sometimes too complicated for me, and this book is not high fantasy, but it can show you how fantasy can be great. The first half of the book is very, very, very slow. We've got description of how she's making a jam because she decided to open the jam shop in her house. So we've got a lot of descriptions at the first half, and in the other one there's whole action. Many things are happening in the other half. Sometimes it was too fast for me because the change of the tempo was so big that sometimes I was, am I reading the same book still? Because it's quite different from the first half. I really recommend you now, when it's fall and when it's autumn, to read it under the blanket with the fireplace or with the candles, and it will be just perfect. Really? The other book, oh my god, it will be young adult, and it will be the second part in the series, which is Hawaii Love by Lily Lucas, and the title is This Could Be Home. And I'm smiling so much because it's my child. It's my patronage, it's my child. I'm in the back of the book. Oh my god, I loved the first part, which was happening also in the Hawaii, and the main character was the tennis player and the other one was a surfer. And I can show you because it's here. This Could Be Love, I think it's the original title. I loved it. It was one of the best young adult books which I read. I'm the big tennis fan, and I really also one day want to go to Hawaii, and I'm a very big fan of Hawaii, their language, their nature, and everything which they have here. And this book was like my dreams come true, because I didn't expect anybody to write about the professional tennis player in Hawaii. It was the mix that was in my mind, but I didn't believe that somebody will make my dreams come true. And the second one is of course about the other couple. We met them in the first part. Here we have the lifeguards. Laurie and Tristan are not big fans of each other. Maybe it could be enemies to lovers. For sure, it's grumpy and sunshine, so if you like this trope, then you will find it here. Lori really wants to become the lifeguard, and Tristan is the person who will help her to make her dreams come true. Of course, it was the perfect summer read. I didn't read it in summer, but the premiere was in the summer, so that's why I am talking right now about that, because before I couldn't. Oh my god! I have to tell you that while I was in Croatia on my summer trip, one of the summer trips, I was going on the beach and I've seen that one person is reading to this book, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so happy that people are reading it. Of course, this person was reading it in a different language. It wasn't Polish, and I think that it also wasn't English. But the cover was the same, so I know that it was the same book, and I was very happy when I see that. And of course, you can wait till summer to read the first one or the second one or the other one which will come, but I really recommend you to do it when you feel that you really want to read a good young adult book, because I didn't read it in the summer and I don't miss that. Of course, it will be the perfect summer read, but I also had a lot of fun while reading to this in spring. I think it was in spring. The other book is from the series which I believe everyone knows or heard about it, because it's the bestseller. Like, I think all of the books from this series are bestsellers, and they are from the region which I really like, as specifically the authors from this region. I talked to you today about the Scandinavian authors, that they have their specific style of writing and things that they decided to write about. And I believe and think and see that's the same with the people from Southeast Asia. There's countries like Japan, South Korea, China, and other which are in this region. And the book which I'm talking about is Before We Forget Kindness by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is the Japanese author, and I think that everyone knows this series. It's of course Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which is bestseller, I believe, in every country, and I really get why. I have to tell you that at the beginning I wasn't the biggest fan of the series, because I didn't used to read this kind of style of writing. It was very different, very specific, because at the beginning it was the script for the play, theater play, I think. And then I understood why this author is writing in this, not the other way. At the same time, while reading to this, you have a lot of emotions, but the author doesn't describe these emotions. It's the fifth part of the series, I think the fifth one. Yes, and of course, if I am reading the fifth book in the series, it means that it's very good. We have the coffee shop where people can travel in time. Of course, you've got a lot of rules which you have to follow if you want to do this. We've got 4 stories of 4 different people here, and in every book is always 4 stories. It's the perfect season now to meet Toshikazu Kawaguchi and his stories which he wants to tell us. The other book, I'm not gonna tell you a lot about it here, because it's also by the Polish author and it's not, unfortunately, translated into English. The author is Klaudia Munever, and I try to maybe translate this. The Bridge Between Us. I also am the patronage of the promotion of this book, so I'm really happy and really grateful that I could do that. The next one is the first thriller, which I will show you, because we already had the detective story, but the thriller we didn't have. And I have to tell you that the summer is not the season when I read a lot of thriller books, but I read one. Yes, I think one. And it's One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware. This is the first book of this author for me, and for sure I will read the others. I mean, maybe not all of them. And it was the perfect thriller for summer. We have reality show for the couples who are going to the very exotic island, I think in Indonesia. They are going to work on their relationships during the weeks which they will spend on this island, or maybe see if there's the better person who is not his partner for them. You could tell that, oh my god, it's perfect, and it's even more perfect that the main female character is not the person who is going through the social media, and she doesn't want to became an actress as her boyfriend, but she's a scientist. And I really love scientist female characters. She's not here to become popular. She's here because her boyfriend really wanted her to be there, because they could only go as a couple. But one night, the first night, they cut off from the world because there is the storm. And during this storm, they find out that they don't have connection with the production and the people who are doing this show, and they don't know why. And they are on this island by themselves with some kind of food, but not a lot of food and not a lot of water. And there's a lot of damage after the storm, and more people are dying. And it's so good. I was reading it on my vacation in Croatia, and it was the vibe. The other book is also by the Polish author Bartek Kierzun. It's the guidebook, I could tell, on Barcelona, the city in Spain, and on the food, mostly in Barcelona. The other one is the how to classify this book. Oh my god. The other one is also the guidebook, but of different kind, because of course the Barcelona was the travel guidebook, but this one is the guidebook for yourself and for your personality, so it's self-development or growth book. I don't know how to classify it. In Polish we have one word for this kind of books, but for English, sorry, I don't know how to say it. You can of course write in the comments if you know what type of book is Ceremony by Brianna Wiest, I think Wiest. This is my second book of this author. The first one was 365 Days, and I don't know what was the rest of the title, I don't remember. This one I read during one day. It's much shorter than 365 Days, but it's kind of different. I think that this book you should pick and decide to read when you want to remind yourself how life can be beautiful and that you can change your life by yourself. You could see how much marks I have here. It's not life-changing book, but still is a very good one. Now we've got the romance, and oh my god, will it be the first romance which I will tell you? This is the first romance which I read during the whole summer. I think so. This is the book by Emily Henry, so the author that is connected to my summer for about 3 years. I'm reading her books mostly in summer. I think all of these books I read in summer. And the book which I decided to listen this summer was Book Lovers. And I was quite afraid that it will be similar to Beach Read, which I didn't like. I think that this is the worst book of Emily Henry now. But this one, I loved it. I really love the connection between the characters and the chemistry. It felt very natural. I loved the whole story. I loved that it was small town, and I love how skeptical for the small town was the main female character. Nora, yes, her name was Nora. You see, the book is great when I remember the names. I'm the big fan of Charlie, and I love that they both are so in love in books, not only in each other, but also in the books. Now, it's some kind of tradition for me to read or listen to the book of Emily Henry during summer, mostly when I am on vacation. Now I can't wait for the next summer to read another book of Emily Henry. It will be probably a funny story. It tells a lot. The next book is harder one. It's also in Polish and it's not translated, unfortunately, but it should be. It's fictionalized reportage. I think that it's how you tell it in English. It's not non-fiction, but it's based on non-fiction with some things which might not happen. And they were added by the author, but not many things were added by the author. Whole book is about the Katastrofa Heweliusza, and this is also the title. The book is written by Katarzyna Janiszewska. The biggest catastrophe on the Baltic Sea after Second World War, I think. The other one I decided to pick because I really needed to calm down and had this kind of the cozy read, and it bring me a lot of coziness, if I could tell that. It's, oh my god, the English title is quite different from the Polish one. The English title is Yeonnam-dong's Smiley Laundromat by Kim Yeon. This is the book by the Korean author, the South Korean author. Do you remember how I told you that also the authors from the Asia have this kind of the different writing? You can also see it here. It brings you a lot of coziness, except from the one story, which I was not a big fan of. We meet here 5 stories, I think 5 stories, of people who are struggling in their life or in their relationships, and they are going to the laundromat. There's a notebook where people started to share with others the emotions which they have. They are writing down what happened in their life and what kind of emotions they have, and for example that they are struggling, and other people can write them back with some kind of advice or the words that they need to hear. It was not the best book of the cozy ones, which I read from the Asian authors, but for sure people who like this kind of books will also like Yeonnam-dong's Smiley Laundromat. The next one, oh my god, I can't tell a lot about this book because it's not translated into English, I think. This is the first book of the Miło, who is, I think, Slovak author. The title of his book, which I can translate, is Polite Unpolite, or Nice Not Nice. It's some kind of the made-up story of the author about the small town in his country. We can see this small town through the eyes of the main character, who is alcoholic and non-working guy, and he doesn't have anything to do in his life. He's just trying to live from one day to the other one in a very chill way, and he doesn't care about a lot of things. It's quite specific. I liked it, and I could also see the pattern from the books from my region, because Slovakia is also from my region, so I could see the pattern. The next book is by the author from Romania and Moldavia, I think. This is Tatiana Tibulec, and her book The Summer My Mother Had Green Eyes. It was not the summer read in this chill way. Of course, the main plot was happening in the summer, but not only, but mostly. We've got here a very, very difficult relationship between the mother and the son. He hates his mother. It's not that he doesn't like her. He really hates his mother, but she asked him to spend the whole summer after he finished school in a small French village from some reason. It was a big trigger for me because I couldn't understand why he's so mad and why he's speaking in this way about his mother. And I had tears in my eyes. For sure, I would cry if I didn't listen to the audiobook in the plane. This book touched me. You could easily read it not only in the summer, because it's not only the summer pick. It's a very hard book. It will trigger you probably from the beginning, but it's worth it. We had the hard read, and now we will have more easy read, because it will be the summer romance, and this author is known to create and write only summer stories. For now, maybe it will change in the future, and of course I'm talking about the Carly Fortune, and I listened to her book One Golden Summer. It was not the best one. It was my third book of this author. The best one was her first one. We meet their Florex family, which is the Polish name, I think. And in this book, we have also one character from this family. To be more specific, Charlie, the brother of Adam, who is the main character in Every Summer After. And the other girl, what was her name? You see, it wasn't the best book if I don't remember. She's the photographer in her 30s, and she's quite undecided what she wants to do now in her career and maybe in her life. And with her grandmother, she decided to go to the lake where her grandmother was before, and she was also one summer when she was 17, I think. And of course, she meets Charlie. And yes, they have one golden summer. That's everything what I want to tell you. Unfortunately, I don't remember how it was in the previous books which I've read of this author, but I had the feeling that in this one, the connection between the main characters was mostly physical, not mental, unfortunately. They were attracted by each other with their bodies mostly, and that's the feeling which I had. Of course, he's very attractive, and for him, she's very attractive. I get it. We've got it in every romance, and of course in the daily life. I wanted more things to connect them, not only this one. Unfortunately, I think that it was the worst book of Carly Fortune which I read now. Carly Fortune is more for fun. When I really want to read a very, very light romance story, then I pick her books. So I'm not gonna recommend you this one. I think that it was the worst book which I've read during the whole summer. So we've got only 4 books left, and 3 are the trilogy, but they will be the last. Before them, I want to tell you about the book of Phil Elwood. This is the non-fiction, mostly memories of him working in PR for very known names and for the countries also. This book is All the Worst Humans: How I Made News for Dictators, Tycoons and Politicians. It shows you how the hell you don't know how journalism and news and politics works. Of course, for sure, you will know some names like Bashar al-Assad or Muammar Gaddafi. He worked for them. I'm not gonna tell you stories and things which he made for them, because this is the main part of this book to find out by yourself. But in this story you will know why Qatar, not the United States, were the host for the World Championship in the soccer for Mundial 2022. This book shows you also how this kind of job reflects on your mental health, how it's bad for the mental health, to be more specific, and for the relationships. When I ended this book, I felt a lot of fear. I was scared. This is non-fiction, and I was scared because it showed me how little we know about the world and mostly the news, because some people just picks, of course it's not about everything, but some people just picks what they want to tell us, and we don't know a lot of stuff which are happening in the background, and it hurts me a lot, and I am very mad about this, that we are living in this kind of world and that we can't change that. I recommend you to start this book if you will have the space in your mind. The last 3 books are trilogy by Jenny Han, and of course it's the summer trilogy. So the books The Summer I Turned Pretty, It's Not Summer Without You, and We'll Always Have Summer. But I'm not gonna tell you a lot here, or nothing, about these books, because there's a special video for them where I read them and tell you about my feelings and emotions, and if I am Team Conrad or Team Jeremiah. So I recommend you to watch the video where I read the whole series, The Summer I Turned Pretty, and for this video, that's the end. So thank you very much for listening and watching what I've read during the summer. I've read a lot of them, and I can't pick only one which was the best one, but you can tell what was your favorite book of the summer, and for example what you can't wait to read during the autumn and the fall. Please let me know in the comments, and of course I invite you for my other social media like Instagram and TikTok, when you can see what I am reading right now. So please check that and subscribe to this channel if you like this video, and you can click thumbs up if you liked it, and I hope that we will see each other in the next video. So thank you for watching, and bye!